Thanks for tuning in and welcome back to the shop. I just checked the calendar and by total coincidence, did you know that today is International Change Your Bump Stops Day? Warning, the following should only be attempted by trained professionals. Or you, because if you're watching this video, you're probably working on your truck and you're probably capable of undoing a couple nuts and bolts, yeah? But don't do anything stupid. Rear axle bump stop, part number MK632622. You're going to need two of these, same part number, left and right. Rear leaf spring. Now, I would call this a bump stop, or at least a bumper or something. They call it a seat. So MK459895. If this is a project that you want to get into on your truck, I would recommend take a look at the condition of the hardware before you start. You may want to order some M10 hardware to hold your axle bump stops on, and what I call no worries nuts for your leaf spring bump stops. No worries. They're M8. Might by 1.25, I reckon. I'm going to start with the leaf spring bump stops because it's going to be dead easy for me because I removed the old ones before I painted the chassis. Slide it up in. Put your two best mates on there. Whoops. Factory manual says 9 to 11 foot-pounds. Repeat. Really doesn't get much simpler than this for putting parts in. That's really not very tight. 2 out of 4, halfway there. That really is about as easy as it gets, so let's do something a little bit harder. Before I bolt these on permanently, I want you to throw a comment down below and tell me what you think. Right now, there's about 2 1/4 inches of space between the bottom of the bump stop and the axle housing. This is completely unloaded. There's no weight on the truck. 2 1/4 inches, for those in the metric system, is about 57 millimeters. Do you think, before I install these permanently, I should cut this and shorten the bump stop to allow a little bit more suspension articulation? Or should I leave it at that? 2 1/4 inches does not seem like a lot of suspension movement for one side to come up. Tell me what you think in the comments down below. I am going to install these as they are temporarily because I still need to put some paint on the frame after I take the old ones off. It's still rusty underneath them. So I'm just going to put them on temporarily. It's only 2 bolts per side, easy to take back off when it warms up a little bit and I can paint it. Let me know what you think. That said, let's see what it takes to whack these old ones out of here. So on the outside of the frame, so grab that 14 millimeter nut and same on the inside. Get my fingers away from the ouchy bits. Here we go. Don't think that did anything. I think I just rounded that nut off. Let's try that with the gun on 3. Maybe a new battery. Even came out in one piece. Yeah, I see the problem now. I've tried metric sockets and I've tried imperial sockets and both of them kind of work, but I think what I really need now is one of my round sockets. we go, maybe. Nope. I don't know if you're aware, but there's two types of round sockets. This type of round socket is for when it's around 12 or 13 mil, maybe a ½ inch, and there's no corners left on it. So the idea is little teeth inside there bite into the edges and it turns. When that type of round socket doesn't work, you got this type of round socket because there's nothing else around that'll take it off. You know when you start into a job and it's just a couple nuts and bolts, it's going to be easy, and then things go really weird. Told you this one was going to be harder. What? Okay, I got the bolt out. And I was test fitting to see if this bolt would fit. And I just saw something that should not be happening. I mean, I've heard of a live axle before, but come look at this. So, this is where I took the two bolts out, right? These two holes here. This is the leaf spring, and I wonder if this bolt will fit through here. Started moving it around, and you see that? What is going on? There should not be a voltage difference between here and here. This is the axle, the spring pack, and that's the frame. That's not right at all. The only thing that I can think of that could be causing that is if an ABS sensor in the axle or the brakes is somehow shorting to the axle or brakes, and that's isolated from the frame by the bushings in the suspension. But that is weird. Let's just say I've got all four of the bolts out on the bump stops, but my brain can't stop thinking about why is there voltage there on the axle. And I got my voltmeter out, and I was measuring 9 volts DC between the axle and the frame. And I can't get past that. So that's all I'm going to do in this video, because I need to go do some looking and thinking, and I'm going to do a little bit more digging into those ABS codes that I pulled up in the last video, because something's not right here. I hope you enjoyed that video, mainly for humor probably. Maybe some useful part numbers. A thought or two of, man, I'm glad my truck's not as screwed up as his is. And if you did, well, maybe give us a thumbs up. Throw a comment down below to make a joke of what I'm doing, make me laugh instead of cry. And if you haven't already, maybe consider subscribing, because I'm sure there's plenty more crazy stuff to come. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.